Hello, everyone. Let's settle down and go over our next session before lunch. Okay, so before we start the second session, we talked a lot about what Nobel does here in California with all our customers. I just want to say we are not just in California, and we've expanded to several countries overseas. And I want to acknowledge one particular gentleman who was instrumental in getting me there, and that's Mr. Edward Reutberg, if you could stand up. Edward's from the, thank you, Edward. He's from the US Department of Commerce. And so I started my relationship with him about 12 years ago, or more, right? Yes. And I had no clue that there were overseas markets available, overseas markets that were interested in our technology. And then he introduced me actually to the Philippines. I was that dumb at that time. I did not even know that in the Philippines they speak English. So he got me into the Philippines. I have an office now in the Philippines. We have about 10 employees there. And in fact, we have over 20 customers in the Philippines, and one of our customers is going to talk, and she'll introduce herself later. And from the Philippines, we also went on to the countries of the Czech Republic and Uzbekistan. If anyone doesn't know where that is, it is just north of Afghanistan. And we are now working in the country of Nepal. So it's all due to the US Commerce Department. For those folks interested in selling their services overseas, I would strongly encourage you to talk to Edward and the US Department of Commerce. All right, thank you so much, and thank you, Edward.
Thank you, Michael. So we're going to do our second video of our customer testimonials, and then we'll get into our third speaker for this morning.
For Universal City, I oversee 43 employees here. I'm in charge of the water, wastewater, utility system, as well as the utility administration.
Mission Springs Water District is located in the Coachella Valley. We are approximately 135 square miles and serve both water and sewers. We began using GeoViewer roughly 10 years ago. Currently, we have about 90% of our staff that uses GeoViewer in some form.
We needed the work order system, an asset management system, the GIS, and Nobel had all of that, and they had more as well, so we knew that we were going to be able to grow with them too.
Most of what we were using in the field was paper. It was a Xerox copy from the late 80s, early 90s that had been recopied hundreds of times. The bigger move for accepting GeoViewer was its ability to print reports. And realizing the time saved from having to gather all that data, it was simply a push of the button. And we have reports at our fingertips that used to take half a day to prepare. When we first onboarded with Nobel GeoViewer, it was very hands-on. If we had issues, they would come out and spend time with us in the field. Our staff could pick up the phone, ask all kinds of questions, and we were able to answer them.
We've provided quite a bit of data of stuff that we would like to see, and they've incorporated into their program. And that's what really sold me, is that it wasn't just the off-the-shelf brand of software that here's all we got. And my guys have had a lot of input on the way they would like it to flow when they open up the iPad and get to each level.
Being able to print reports and have that for our reporting to the state, being able to find information is quite simple. Looking at the menus or the drop-down option is clear as to what you're looking at and what you're going to be requesting. The results in using Nobel GeoViewer has been noted throughout all departments.
We eliminated all the duplicating to where my guys would fill it out in the field. on paper, then it goes to the supervisor. Then we did have a program that our supervisors would enter into that program. This thing actually has helped us incorporate so much more with the inventory system that it provides, the vehicle maintenance forms that we can use, the mapping. It really answered a lot of things that I needed and was looking for in a program. To me, it feels painless. And from what the communication I've been seeing, embracing taking on some new tasks that we've asked them to take on and making those programs really work to a vision that I wanted for this department. With the work order system, they have a work order assigned to them, and then when that task is completed, they have work orders waiting in queue for them, so they know they can go from one job site to the next. With these iPads, they've been communicating through the iPads with each other, so it's been really nice to see them embracing, and it saved us a lot of time just from them having to come back to the office to get more information on what their next tasks are.
In order to give any advice as to anyone looking at possibly going with Nobel Systems, take a look at what they offer. There's a lot of opportunity to see what they've done for different clients that aren't always easy to explain.
Right. Thank you to Mission Springs and the city of Universal City, Texas. So Universal City is our first client in Texas, and they really started with nothing. No data, everything was paper, no software. So everything was built from scratch, and they're up and running, and their team has really embraced it, and they're utilizing it every day. And it was really remarkable to us at how quickly they picked it up and all the feedback that they provided throughout the onboarding process. So they're really a successful client as if you're starting from scratch and getting them onboarding and having them use the application. Universal City is our showcase city. So our next speaker, he's a leader in the GIS industry and influential in development and deployment of GIS solutions in the high desert. As the GIS manager for the city of Hesperia for the last 11 years, he's been the GIS manager and was the assistant to the senior engineer for 10 years with the city. He's always giving back to the community and teaches GIS at the Victor Valley College part-time. In the Agricultural and Natural Resources Department, as part of his responsibilities, he oversees the implementation of Nobel SAS GIS solutions, data, as well as other information related to the city services. GIS support at the city of Hesperia goes across all departmental boundaries. And so they use our Dig Alert ticket system, our valve inspection system, and also they utilize it for code enforcement. City personnel rely on the GIS to perform daily duties in the field, office, and also from home. Please welcome the GIS manager for the city of Hesperia, Mr. Eric Green.
All right, good morning. How are we doing? Oh, we're going to see how this is going to go. I don't like PowerPoints much, so I want to do a live data. You know, why not see it so you can see it live, right? So this is our GeoViewer platform. So what we run is GeoViewer Online, GeoViewer Mobile, and we recently launched Public View. Is anybody here using Public View? One? All right. So we started GIS back in 2006. We didn't really have a GIS. All of our data was in AutoCAD. So we hired Nobel to transform all of our data from AutoCAD into GIS. And we also launched GeoViewer and an AMS system at the same time. So it was about a 2-year project. And so we've been with Nobel ever since. And we've actually implemented a lot of other things with Nobel, especially mobile. So this is our GeoViewer Online platform. You guys know this, right? As you can see, I have water, sewer, storm drain, streets all turned on. And what I love about Nobel is that you can actually do this, and it regens as you go. Not a lot of systems can do that. I know our inherent GIS system, that would probably take about 10 minutes worth of scrolling, okay, waiting for it to refresh. So we use this application in a lot of ways. I'm going to zoom out to our city boundaries. So we have 74 square miles. Not all of it has water and sewer in it, of course. We have about 27,000 meters. But our layers are pretty much the same lines of what we have in GIS. We currently carry around a lot of aerial data, so we can look at 2022 data. So what we mainly use this for is to go back in time to see what happened in 2021, 2022, to see if hydrology has changed. So if we have any drainage issues, maybe somebody built a garage or something in the middle of a master plan flow, and now they've altered the flow to their neighbor, we can go back in time and see that. So we carry around a lot of imagery. Obviously, we have a ton of layers, code enforcement. Obviously, you're going to see water, sewer, FEMA data, planning data. So all of our land use records are in here. So it is really expansive. We also have, which is unique to us, we have some county service layer in here, CSA layers, because we have interties in our water system. So we actually have their data in our data set. So as you can see, we have a lot of data in here. But not just data, runs GeoViewer. We also have, of course, you've seen the BI, so we can actually look at pipes and data based on size and see where they are. You can see that some of it goes outside of our city boundary because we do have pipes outside of our city boundary. And then a couple years ago, we launched Dig Alert. So I know people have talked about Dig Alert already. Everybody knows what Dig Alert is, 811, call before you dig. So we didn't have a dot matrix printer. We don't go back that far, but we did have the Dig Alert tickets sent to an email box. And I looked at that email box yesterday, and there was 2,000 tickets in that email box. So what we used to do, we have one line locator in the city. He'd come into work, he'd get the emails, he'd print them out, then he'd have to sort them, right? To route them where he's gonna go. That was the process. He'd take those tickets, he'd go out and finish those tickets. While he was out doing those tickets, of course, 30 more tickets came in, right? So a few years ago, Nobel came to us and said, hey, why don't you guys use our Dig Alert app? So I presented that to our water distribution manager, and he goes, yeah, that looks pretty good. Our line locator was there, and he's like, oh, I have to do it on an iPad the whole time? And I'm like, yeah, all your tickets are gonna come in. He goes, oh. I said, well, that's not reassuring. Why do you say that? He goes, well, I just like doing it the way that I like doing it, right? It's my job, I like doing it. He goes, but I'll do whatever my boss tells me to do. I said, good, because we're gonna use this. And we did. So we can look at it online. On the online version, I could just go right to what needs to be marked. Isn't that great? I mean, you have symbology right there saying, this is what you need to mark. So we result all of our tickets through the iPad. When he's out in the field, new tickets come in, it dings, he can look at a ticket, he can result everything out in the field. And like a month and a half later, I went up and said, Jeff, how's it going with Dig Alert? I mean, are you liking it? And he goes, nobody's touching my iPad. I take it home every night. He goes, I don't even have to come into work in the morning. I go straight to a ticket. I said, perfect. That's what it's for. So we've been leveraging that for, I don't know, about 5 years now, and we love it. So if we were to look at how many tickets, they actually do, we can look at marked tickets and see that we're probably doing around 400 tickets a month. One person is doing 400 tickets a month. Now, granted, some of these are putting a fence up in my front yard. Okay, he can result that. He doesn't even have to go out there, right? He can result that from his office. He can say, oh, okay, there's no problem. We don't have a water line there. Go ahead and do it. Also, I don't know if you know that California has a bill out that says that you have to report your tickets, right? Okay, well, now we have to send it to California. No, we don't. Nobel does it on the back end. So They came out with a bill that says, hey, you have to put your results up in ca.gov. Well, it's already done behind the scenes. So they manage everything when it changes. That's really my point. So when California could come out with anything, and Nobel's going to be right there, already ready to go. So we don't have to sweat it. So we have lots of iPads now out in the system, of course. So if our line locator's out for a day, somebody else picks up the iPad and they go out and do those records. We also launched a valve inspection. So all of our system valves have to be turned every 2 years. So they actually come out and take records, and valves that aren't found can be in the system. How many turns they record the data. You can click on it and obviously see the data. We do not have, because we're old school, I guess, we do not have a valve machine, so they turn the valves by hand. If we did have a valve machine, it could Bluetooth to GeoViewer Mobile, and it will record the data. We're working on getting a valve machine, but they're expensive. Plus, some of our valves are pretty old in our system. Sometimes valve machines can twist a nut off, so our guys like to do it manually. I think they just like getting paid to do it manually, but maybe that's not the case. So that's pretty much what we have in online, and mobile echoes that. So if we had an iPad up here, I could show you mobile. Mobile is just easy. What's that? Nothing? It doesn't turn broken. So I'm going to show you real quick our public viewer. So recently, about 3-4 years ago, my boss came to me and said, listen, we are getting a lot of calls in engineering for records requests. In fact, we have 10 days to respond because we're a city. And it's costing us a lot of time. How do we get rid of some of these record requests so we can free up their time during the day? And I said, well, we should launch Public Viewer. Okay? So in that, of course, you can search for anything in the search bar, APN, or whatever you want to search, an address, and you can get property information about it, like zoning, address, APN, tax appraisal data. All that's available on the public view. So we're showing what we can show publicly. Of course, there aren't any owner names being shown, right? So we also have things like voting districts. You can look at bus stops. I don't know if you guys have seen this, but you can actually route bus stops and see where the nearest bus stop is, see where the nearest park is. You can look at bike routes. So everybody in the public is obviously using this. You can see schools in our street sweeping program. We don't have a lot of curb and gutter in the city, but we do have a street sweeping program. But what is crucial to this, about talking about getting all of these requests for information, we have a development tab. So our developers can go here and look at what assessment districts are available. So they can see what CFD, the fire districts, are near their project, or a buyback district, or they can go to the FEMA website, but they can also click on water. So as I zoom in, it's going to change here on the left-hand side. And you can see that these are pink, so you can highlight them. So if I hit that, it's going to bring up the construction plan for water, sewer, and storm drain. So literally, we have no calls for asking for construction plans. They don't have to come to the counter. It's all public record. We have to give it to them anyways. So why are we spending time? So somebody calls for a construction plan, well, we point them to the public viewer. Go get it off the public viewer. You don't need us. You can get it yourself. Be self-sufficient. And our developers love it, because when they're planning, they want to be able to see what storm drain and what sewer lines they have available, right? So water, sewer, and storm is all in there, and it works the same way. If you zoom in, you can see that there's a link to it, and you just click the hyperlink, and then they could download that set of plans We also have recycled water in here, recorded tract data. So if you're in a recorded tract, and that's kind of important to our developers, they want to know what the recorded tract information is. That's just another hyperlink on recorded tracts, and it opens up the tract map. So they can get all their information on easements and right-of-ways. We also have our design standards. So you work in a city, you have engineering standards, you have water standards, you have sewer standards, you have storm. We have it all available online. Okay, so you don't have to go anywhere else but this site. And to note, we have benchmarks, but we also have master plan of drainage. If anybody's familiar with the city of Hesperia, we have a master plan of drainage, and I don't know why it's not showing that. There it goes. These are all the drainage lines in the city of Hesperia. So the city is, everything falls to north and east in the city, about 2% grade. We have a lot of storm drain, and we have a lot of roads that just is our storm drain. So Main Street carries water, so our roads carry water. So we have our master plan facilities out there. We have the overall maps. We have anything that they would want. So this is a master plan map that shows all of our master plan lines on it. So all of our plan and profiles for what could be built for these master plans are available on the public viewer. So we've made a lot of different changes since 2006. I'm not even sure what version GeoViewer was in 2006. I think it was on a stone tablet or something. I'm not sure. But we love Nobel. I have plenty of consultants and plenty of vendors that I work with outside of software applications, and Nobel is the best. And I tell everybody that. They're always there when I need them. Our GIS system would not be anything today if it wasn't for them. So, you know, I applaud them for their dedication. And they built our system. And now we have a turnkey system that we do hydraulic modeling, we do everything out of, we do asset management. And how do I know I have buy-in for this application? If there's a hiccup, I don't care if it's a browser hiccup, I get phone calls first thing in the morning. Hey, GeoViewer's not playing nice. Okay, let me call Javina. Let's get this fixed, okay? So I know I have buy-in because we have a city-wide license, so anybody inside the city as an employee can use it. So we have buy-in, everybody loves it. We love Nobel, and they've been totally responsive, and I look forward to the next 3 or 4 years actually adding more of their resources. We're talking about unlimited forms and some other things that we're going to be adding probably this next year, because we can just grow with it. And Nobel grows, and we'll grow with them. So we're all in with it. And if it wasn't for them, I know that we wouldn't be looking at such an expansive GIS system. I mean, we have 10,000 street signs in the city, and they're all logged into GIS. So we have a lot of data, and they've helped with that, especially on the back end with attributing and all the technology they've brought forward. That's about all I have. Is that good? Do you want me to go longer? I can go longer. Any questions? Hey, hang on a second. He's bringing you a mic.
I was just wanting to know what type of information for code enforcement do you have in the system?
We have a PLL system called TrackIt, and code enforcement is contained inside of TrackIt. It also is GIS enabled, so it has my GIS data inside of TrackIt, but they log all their cases inside of TrackIt.
And it updates the information as far as owner?
They're not allowed to touch parcel data.
Okay.
That comes from the county, so we maintain parcel data, but they can put all their case records and all their tickets and everything against a parcel. Anybody else?
You don't have any concerns putting like a water infrastructure out there in the public?
No. It's public record. If somebody comes into my office and says, I want the plans for 80-91-1, we have to give them the plans. What's that?
You pay for
There's no charge here online to pay for. They never paid for. They would pay for copies. We can only charge them CRB, which is cost reasonably borne. So we can only charge them the cost of the copies. So that's what they get. We used to put the data onto a disk and mail it to them, but why? You know? Yes, sir.
As a city, are you using it for any other options in the city itself besides the water? So as you go into the city infrastructure, you have public works, all of that. Are you guys doing anything with public works?
Yeah.
Currently, I'm with water.
Yep.
But we are integrating into the city aspects of it too. So
Yes, so our Public Works Department uses GeoViewer. They also use an asset management system, and not just water. It's water, sewer, storm drain, streets department uses it. So they all use it. Mobile, they use that a lot more, especially because it has disconnect to state. Yeah, all of our department in Public Works is using GeoViewer, and they're using some other. They have third party, like for sewer inspections. We have Granite XP that we use, but that's all GIS integrated, so it's all tied together. Is that it? All right, thank you.
All right, thanks, Eric. All right, so our final speaker this afternoon has traveled from the Philippines to be with us today. She started her career as the Valencia City Water District Secretary and served in many important positions within the district and promoted to executive assistant until she rose from the ranks and was appointed general manager of the Valencia Water District in 2011. She oversees a staff of 174. And yes, you heard me right, 174. As a general manager for more than 12 years, her active visionary leadership addressed the perennial problems of the agency. Being a technology-driven organization, she understands the power of technology and implementation of processes to conform to international standards, and using this technology to bridge the gap between their physical and digital world. She is a career executive and senior member of many institutions and organizations within the Water Districts Associations within the Philippines. She is also current auditor of the Mindanao Association of Water Districts and actively participates in speaking engagements such as the Philippine Association of Water Districts during their national convention, and always sharing her experience and expertise with other water districts within the industry. She is truly an inspiration to all. Please help me give her a warm welcome to Miss Socorro Paluga, General Manager of Valencia Water District.
Thank you, Dave, for those generous words. Hello, everyone. Have we been feeling good today? You know, other speakers have said a lot about technology, and I really hope that I could just bring justice to my presentation today. And it's cold here in California. So, Dave made a very good introduction. And usually, I would want my audience to be happy listening to me. And for that, let's just give Dave a clap. This is to just activate our serotonin. And of course, the speakers before me, they have been so awesome in their presentation. And I would just like to start this talk with one of my favorite quotes, authored by the famous scientist Charles Darwin. And I quote, "It is not the strongest of the species that survives, nor the most intelligent that survives. It is the one that is most adaptable to change. End of quote. Indeed, in this VUCA world, defined as volatile, uncertain, complex, ambiguous, and now digital world, leaders globally are challenged to transform and adapt in order to survive and thrive. And in this fast technology changes, we always want everything within a snap of a finger. Like, we want everything to be instant. We want to drink instant coffee. And when we are hungry, we would want to eat some instant noodles. And if we are scrolling on our Facebook, in fact, we could get an instant date. But of course, that's not for me. I'm taken. But before instantly going further, I would like to briefly introduce my origin. I am from the Philippines, and I traveled 17 hours. Thank you, Michael, for this privilege to be here and share to you Valencia City Water District's digital transformation journey. Okay. I need my video to play. Philippines, as you most knew, belongs to a developing country, but our current president, His Excellency Ferdinand Marcos Jr., is adamant in making the government's services digitized, including, of course, the water industry. In fact, one of his advocacies is for the Philippines to ramp up digitalization of government to improve bureaucracy or bureaucratic efficiency. Presently, there are 532 active local water districts regulated by the Local Water Utilities Administration, desperately working together to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goal number 6, which is the call for access to potable water and sanitation. Our city is located in the heart of the second largest island, Mindanao, particularly in the province of Bukidnon, where we prided on our rich culture, being it a home of 7 different beautiful tribes. Valencia City Water District is nested at the city of Golden Harvest, serving majority of its water needs. It is a government-owned and controlled corporation established in 1980 under Presidential Decree 198. Serving for over 42 years, our organization belongs to Category B. We are now 25,372 total active connections, or a population of 126,000. These customers are scattered in 17 barangays, the term used in the political subdivision of the city. Its success can be attributed to its visionary and supportive board of directors, dedicated management, and 178 passionate working employees. When I was appointed as the general manager in 2011, one among the various challenges of the organization that is of the highest priority is finding the data I needed to use for decision making, which unfortunately we have to dig in from the stockroom, and you can only expect that it is not complete and other drawings were already faded print. So when I attended an international conference in 2015, I was acquainted with the technology of the Nobel Systems through a short benchmark with Roland Water District. It impressed upon me the efficiency of the technology, which I envisioned to lessen the burden of keeping the files, and especially the real-time updating of Valencia City Water District's asset vital in making an informed decision. Briefly, allow me to navigate you to the GIS-based billing system of Valencia City Water District. The system is assured of its security features, meaning not every member of the organization can access, but only those with authority through a login and password. The system has vast and detailed features in Valencia City Water District's asset. Example, structures and pipes could now be located. We are all aware that the inventory of a water system's asset is so difficult because our money are buried in the ground. So for better appreciation, a map or graph could be helpful. Digging further on other features, we can snap in a meter button which could show us the area with most water meters installed and other detailed information. A photo could also be attached to know if the installation was standard. And managers don't have to go to the field. Actually, I find this system a gender-sensitive technology, providing men, and especially women, leaders equal opportunity in this highly technical, labor-intensive, and male-dominated industry. Before partnering with GeoNobel, Valencia City Water District's processes are not well defined. It is manual and primitive. As we shifted, the following workflows has improved, such as digitizing maps of all pipelines, whether distribution or transmission lines, monitoring service requests on new meter installations, attending service requests for repair and maintenance. Now, with GeoNobel, the assets are digitized, repairs and maintenance and new meter installations are easily monitored. Hence, we become paperless, which is environment friendly. So, to give you an example, allow me to show you one of its many advantages through this service request. A complaint of line leakage is received in the customer service section. Immediately, a service request can be made, and the same information will pop up to the engineering division, and the people on the field could be notified. Hence, concerns could be immediately attended to, since our customer address can be located through the GeoViewer mobile. After the work progress, personnel at the field provides update on the completion of work. The office is informed real time. So, immediate action equals happy customers. Next, let's go to the billing workflow. Before GeoNobel, the field personnel's 100% delivery of bills cannot be monitored, and its accuracy cannot be assured. Now, with the technology, the meter reader can read, bill, and deliver in less than a minute, and automatically it syncs in the office system. Thus, managers can be notified if target bills are complete. 100% accurate bill target equals confident managers. Lastly, under the cash management, cash flow balance still needs to be looked up through an Excel file. It is very stressful, right? Meanwhile, this system provides important daily summary report where managers can monitor daily collection real time. Any inaccuracy or human error can be immediately traced and corrected. Hence, financial reports is made more transparent. Transparent and accurate financial data equals happy work. With its vast feature on location-based operations management, it made monitoring of all the service requests simple. before or during in-field activities and see tasks through completion. The GIS Read and Bill and GeoViewer has positively and greatly impacted Valencia City Water District's easy tracking of locations for faster repair of leakages, available data for assets inventory, more convenient read and bill, and accurate payment and collection. So in summary, endless opportunity to advance further and achieve our global goal is provided through the GeoViewer. Especially accessing files in the palm of your hand is made possible. In this fourth industrial revolution, it has been bringing us development, especially to the water industry. Our mandate as a water district is to provide access to potable water. So I leave technology to the experts. So I would like to share to you some challenges on this transition. Of course, we encountered some internet connection instability. Knowing that this is an online system, internet connectivity is vital, and Philippines has just started investing on ICT infrastructure. We could only expect an improvement anytime soon. Next, we have this financial misconception on technology investment. Usually, people say it's very expensive because it involves technology, it involves infrastructure, it involves software development. But for me, transparency is more valuable because it pays for the integrity of the office. And another challenge, digital transformation is an organization development intervention with the objective of improving services, thus needs to be communicated to the members of the organization for effective implementation. Of course, we experience resistance. Employees don't want the technology because of the cancel culture. They thought technology would replace them. So it should be properly communicated and it should be properly appreciated. And what are the advantages and impact to Valencia City Water District's workflow? Obviously, it is very easy and convenient access to files. Data is available within a click of a button. Systematized map and other salient features. Easier inventory of the agency's asset. Pandemic and disaster proof. Valencia City Water District was able to sail through the pandemic using the technology. You know, we are forbidden to go out of our houses, but we can continue reading bills, and then all the data will just be transported to the office, and they don't have to go back to the office. And the Philippines is a typhoon belt. It experienced 20 typhoons, an average of 20 typhoons in a year. And there are a lot of water districts who were flooded in the past year and even the current year. So what would happen if their computers are drowned in the flood and their papers are drowned in the flood? But with this, our data are all placed in the cloud, and I don't have any problem even if there would be some terrorism attack in our office. It is time efficient and faster decision making. Managers can make decisions right away, basing on the data in the system. And obviously, globally accessible. It can be accessed anywhere in the world. I could even sleep soundly in the night and just check on my data, open my laptop here in California and check the data there in the Philippines. I can see if my employees are working, even right now. Limitless through space and boundaries. It defies the limitation. Thank you very much. Maraming salamat po. Mabuhay. Well, I can accept any questions. Yes, Tom.
So, I've met Coco in the past. She
Yeah.
showed some pictures of our district. I just wanted to share with you all a little bit of what I've learned about the Philippines and water districts in the Philippines. After World War II, the Filipino government went about reestablishing itself, rewriting its constitution, and it looked to America for a lot of what it did. And it sent delegates to America to determine what would be the best type of water system to build in their new economy, in their new government. And they picked California water districts, county water districts. And so when Coco came to our district, it was with a larger group, a larger delegation, and they had some electeds with them from their district as well as general managers. And we had a joint session. We had a board meeting with our board, and we have public, and they were astonished that we had public in our board meetings. Think about that for a moment. In the Philippines, the public is not allowed in your board meetings, correct? They're closed,
Yes.
right? The other interesting thing is Coco doesn't get to establish her salary for her employees. That is set by the president of the country. So if he campaigns and says, hey, all government workers are getting a 10% raise if you make me president, she's stuck with the financial task of finding that 10% to pay all of her employees, which is fascinating. The other interesting thing is she has 25,000, 26,000 metered services, but she has over 150 employees. That also is set by code, right? How many services per employee?
That's a 120:1. That is
100
the standard.
Yeah, 120 metered connections. She has to hire an employee for every 120 metered connections. So she doesn't get the decision to say, I don't need that person. It's, we added 120 services, I have to hire a person. So just some interesting things that I wanted to share with you guys, but very democratic process, but in a lot of similarity. So the other thing to note, there are only water districts in the Philippines. There's no other form of water utility. They're all special districts. So thank you, Coco.
Thank you so much, Tom. Any more? Oh, there was a guy earlier who asked if this is our costume or a cultural costume. Yes, this is our ethnic attire.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coco. Another round of applause for traveling for 17 lines. So earlier during El Toro's presentation, we were unable to demonstrate some of the applications that they're utilizing. So we're running a little ahead of schedule. So we're going to go ahead and do that, and Aretha will show you some of the applications that El Toro is utilizing. And as Mike said, you know, they've been very instrumental in helping us design these apps, all the feedback, and just really making it the best that we can for their end users. bring the laptop? Am I on? So as we're waiting for Aretha to get set up, are there any other questions for any of the speakers? No? Play some music.
It's right here. HDMI is right there. Right there.
Sorry, here is El Toro's setup. GeoViewer is an app. It can be downloaded from the App Store. Right now, also, it's in iOS, and it's also can be available from Google Play and Android. And so you can just download it from the App Store here, GeoViewer Mobile. And then you can open the app. And then we have like a dashboard screen. So here at the top left, we have a dashboard screen with all of the tools. And so here's for El Toro. They have a lot of tools for daily checklists, and then work orders, etc. You can open the tool to go to the map, and you can start your workflows. So here, El Toro, we have like a valve inspection workflow. And so you can select the valve tool from the top here, and it will, you can see all of the valves highlighted on the map. Green means recently exercised within 1 year. Red means it hasn't been exercised for over 3 years. So you could just start from one region and work your way south. Also, I forgot to mention, our app is available offline, so I'm just going to turn off the Wi-Fi, and the staff can still use the app. So here you can click on the valve and create one inspection. And so here they'll do an inspection. Here are the fields. These fields are tailored for El Toro. It can also be tailored for different water districts. Also, Rainbow Water District, Brian Rose helped us develop this tool, and we have adapted it to different customers, and they've added different workflows. So, just, yes. And then here you can flag the valve as not operational or operational, and then accordingly you can create work orders. Here, there are some fields that will be automatically filled when it connects to a valve Bluetooth machine. So all the turns and torque data will be automatically populated. You can also track like minutes spent, like how many minutes you spent on it. And then here we also have the ability to speak to the iPad, so the guy on the field doesn't need to type. You don't need to type. And so in that way, you don't have to type things out. Just talk to it and save it. And then once it's done, it will turn green. This is live data, so I'm not messing with it. So this way, they will do their inspections. They can flag all of the bad valves here on the map. And then accordingly, they can create work orders. You can see all of the non-operable valves here, the ones with broken valve cans and where you need to fix the valve. So here we can do the non-operable valves. You can see it here on the map. You can route yourself to that location and accordingly create work orders and then and assign it to your team. So I am here at the bad valve. I'm going to create a work order. And so I'll create a work order right here. And then I can add the new GIS. Maybe I have to replace the valve. So I could put new information about the valve here. And then we can also add labor, equipment, material information. So who worked on this valve as well? How many, did they work overtime or double overtime? And then also the materials. And so this is from the inventory module. And it will subtract it from the inventory module and add it to the work order. And here also we can say what truck was used. And it will approximate the total work order cost. And you can print reports as well. So this is the kind of the workflow. So the guys work from the field with the map, create inspections and work orders. We can also track water loss here. So I could create a plus button and then add a leak. And then we could do the leak here. We have different options. We can connect to a Trimble device. We can manually place the point on the map. And then we can track the water loss too. So here we have like equations. So we could put equations and then it'll calculate the number of gallons here too. Yes.
I'll try and speak loud. Aretha,
Mm-hmm.
if you're working offline
Mm-hmm.
out in the field and you're doing a work order,
Mm-hmm.
when you come back online, will it retrieve that work order?
Oh, yes.
It
so
it holds it, right?
Yes.
And then
And
when
then
it
it's
syncs back up,
Yes.
it'll upload it.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
So just, yeah. I can replicate that. So yeah, I'm offline right now. I'll just create one field note. So here, yes, we have like a field note too. So if you want to do any redlining on the map, say there's like a missing valve or something, we could click on it here. And then, yeah, we could say it's like a missing valve. And then save it. And then right now it's offline. So yes, here you can see that there's like a syncing issue. So right now it's stored on your device. So all the data is stored on the device. And then when you come online, then everything will sync automatically. So, yes. Um,
Once you're out of the system, you cannot open it. Like, it just won't open. So as long as you're running the app and then you go into an area that does not have
Okay.
like service, unless if you have the app running already, you're kind of stuck.
Oh, it's stuck.
Is that it? Like, it won't open. You're just like in.
Oh.
You got the death circle, whatever they call it.
Oh, we will fix that. I will talk with Brian. Yes. Yes. One thing with Nobel, we like to go and meet clients, once a quarter or once a month. So feel free to always contact us, and so we can address all the issues. So yes.
Okay,
Okay.
great. Thank you, Rita. Okay, so we're running a little ahead of schedule, so we're going to get into some of our partner presentations. And so we're going to have SmartCover come on up and do their presentation. SmartCover is an award-winning smart sewer technology company. They have 500 plus cities with remote collection systems monitoring in the US, Canada, and Mexico. Since 2005, SmartCover has accumulated over 2 million utility hours, operational hours, and installed thousands of sensors in the public and private utilities. Please welcome the Regional Sales Manager, Eric Van Cleve.
Click the mouse, or which one do I hit? That one. All right. Oh, perfect. All right. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much for having me here. It's an honor. Like I said, I'm glad to see the rain for some reasons during the drought, but obviously not driving it this morning. I'm based out of San Diego, so it was fun driving through traffic there. But as you mentioned, my presentation will be about SmartCover, our solutions, and GeoViewer integration. As briefly mentioned, we have been doing this for 17 years, level monitoring. We have 600 plus utilities that we serve worldwide with 1,000 sensors deployed. We have prevented over 40,000 sewer spills. We have about 12 patents and over 200 million operating hours collected. So what I'm going to do throughout this presentation is talk a little about who we are, our solutions, our applications, and then how we can integrate it into different platforms such as GIS, SCADA, etc. As mentioned, we have been doing this for almost 20 years, helping protect the environment, help optimize investments, and strengthen utility resiliency. And so how have we been doing that? So the different applications we've been helping with, the ones in the blue are kind of our main ones, our bread and butter. We basically started out with spill prevention, SSO prevention. We started going around agencies around San Diego, which is where we're headquartered, asking them, what's keeping you up at night? And one of the main responses that we got from them was sewer spills. So that's why we decided to come out with a solution that can help let agencies know when there's a backup in the system so they can go out and hopefully prevent a spill. Since then, we've grown into a lot of different applications such as inflow and infiltration detection, cleaning optimization, H2S monitoring, stormwater monitoring, lift station backup, and even intrusion detection. All of our smart covers do have a tilt intrusion alarm on the lids, so they can, if they're open, they can be alerted if let them know that, hey, someone will open up our lid. If there's illegal dumping going on, or even kids just throwing rocks down and causing trouble. So a little bit about how our system works. So I'll go in a little bit more of the hardware in a little bit, but basically, as you can see in this picture right here, our system gets installed on the existing lid, typically for lift stations or our manhole covers. Our sensor is hanging down in the manhole. If there is a blockage, a buildup, if the water levels start to rise, We actually communicate through the Iridium satellite network system, so we're not cellular based. I will talk about that a little more as well. If there was a blockage, we are detecting the levels in there. We're collecting a data point every 10 minutes, sending the data to the website every hour, and checking for a high-level alarm every 5 minutes. And if there was, we communicate that through the satellite network, and then the systems perform analytics automatically on itself, and then the data is sent to your phone, your tablet, computer, wherever you get access to it. Having that data on hand, can help with, spill prevention, preventive asset maintenance, capital investment planning, and other, just having that data to get a better understanding of your system, to know what's going on. So having that data on hand can be super helpful. Here's another example of what that looks like. We are a true cloud-based system, so there are no software downloads required. We do have, anywhere you just go and get internet, you go to mysmartcover.com, type in username and password, and that's it. We do have an app for your smartphone as well, through Apple and Android as well, and this is just a quick view of what it looks like on the dashboard. The smart cover dashboard, you get a view of your map, where your smart covers are located. You can get, high-level alarm notifications, see what's going on, if there are any trend rises, trend falls, do some analytics, and you can see what it kind of looks like on the cell phone version as well. With the cell phone app, you don't have the full functionality as you would log into the desktop, but especially if you're out in the field, it's a way more user-friendly way to access the data and understand what's going on in your system. As I mentioned earlier, we do use the Iridium satellite system for communications. We have been doing this for 17 years, and way back when, we actually started out cellular-based. And we just found out there are a lot of areas that don't get cell reception, cell towers get overloaded even during heavy rain events, or cell towers get taken away. We've been out on site to where we'd go on, do an installation, and then when we booted the system up, we just found out we don't get any cell receptions. We're like, hey, sorry, customer, we got to move the smart cover to a different location just because we don't get cell service. We ended up switching to the Iridium satellite just because it is a way more secure way of a form of communications. It's actually used by the Department of Defense, so extremely reliable. If you're not familiar with what it is, it's just 66 low Earth orbiting satellites in continuous rotation. And our antennas that sit on top of the manhole lids only need about a 20% view of the sky to get signal. So it's great in remote areas, easements, anything that has interference. As long as we have that small little sliver of sky, we will get communications. We don't have to upgrade our hardware every time there's a 3G, 4G, 5G upgrade, and it just provides global redundant coverage, especially in those events where there is a blockage or if there's bad weather. Those are the times you really need to have that data and understand what's going on in your system. A little bit about the hardware itself. I do have a sample over there at my booth, but it's a pretty small component. There are not that many pieces to the whole puzzle. The subsonic sensor, it's a ultrasonic and pressure transducer combination that allows us to do level monitoring both below and above the sensor. So if the water levels rise in the manhole, submerge the sensor, we can do level monitoring above it as well. The e-box, what we call the computer, is the brains that communicates. The cable, the sensor that's hanging down in the manhole, lift station, etc. We do have a standard 15 and 25-foot cable, but just for reference, we can do up to a 300-foot cable length, depending on how deep a potential wet well or manhole is. So it don't really have any limitations when it comes to depth of manholes. And then we do have antennas. You can see the green reflector is our kind of known. If you ever see a green reflector, it's just like the blue street reflectors you see on the street. Ours is just green. We're kind of known for that. We do have a smaller antenna, the E-dot. It's typically for areas that get snow, so they can be nestled in the grooves of the manhole better, so if snow plows come, they don't get sheared off and get damaged. And especially recently, I think we're getting some snow today in the mountains, so that could be helpful there. And then our battery, it is battery operated, so we are off the grid. It is a 2-year rated battery. So those are just kind of the components. And the standard installation is on the existing lid or manhole. That is our patented system for installation, which doesn't require any confined space. It's 3 small drill holes in the existing lid or hatch, which makes it, it takes about an hour to do each installation. So it's user-friendly, it's quick. After it takes about an hour to install, we simply give you that username and password, go to the Smart Card website, and you can access all your data there. We do have other different methods of installation, but that is our standard one. That doesn't require confined space. So enough to talk about, a little bit who we are and, the hardware portion of it. I typically like to generally focus on the case studies that we have had with agencies around Southern California, because that kind of really shows you the impact utilizing this kind of technology, the solutions. The City of Hawthorne, this is one of our favorites to talk about. Their challenge, before 2006, they experienced about 10 spills a year. And they found out that it was costing them about $400,000 in fines, cleanup costs, litigation, et cetera. Instead of fixing the problem, they would just add that $400,000 worth of their budget each year, knowing that they would probably have those spills. In 2006, they decided to install 50 smart covers, and they put it at their spots. I know we're not supposed to use the term hotspots anymore, but their problem areas that they know that they're getting spills. Those 50 smart covers, that's the agency specific for them. We have some agencies that have 1 smart cover, 5 smart covers, 10. We have some that have over 500, just depending on, where it's needed. And those 50 smart covers only, I think, manages it's only 2.5% of all their manholes that they have in their entire system. And since they implemented those 50 smart covers in 2006, they actually saw a spill reduction of 99%. I think they had 1 small spill at an unmonitored site a couple years back, but since then have put a monitor there, but that's a 99% reduction. So without having to budget that $400,000 since 2006, that's an estimated cost of like $6.5 million just by adding those 50 smart covers to their system and being able to reduce their spills. So it's a great success story that we have with the City of Hawthorne. As I mentioned, one of our other applications that we work with is lift station backup. I know generally lift stations, already have devices in place. They might have SCADA, floats, everything like that. There are, times to where agencies lose power unexpectedly. Nothing against the SCADA system itself. It's just, whether it's a natural disaster or something going on, we actually help complement SCADA systems like that. Because we are battery powered, because we don't use cell service, we are kind of that last resort backup in case something like that, in case something really bad happens. And one case study we have is with the city of El Segundo. They have, 7 lift stations, and a few years back, they had a drunk driver hit 2 of their power lines and knock out the power to about 4,000 SoCal Edison customers, as well as power to all 7 of their lift stations. They only had 2 guys on call that night with 1 backup generator. So what do you do with 2 guys with 1 generator and 7 lift stations with no power? Luckily, they did have a smart cover installed at each one of their lift stations, and they were able to still see the data, get the alarms, and they had 2 that, you can see the data there. Those are 2 of the sites that had a high-level alarm where the water levels were rising in those lift stations. So they were able to prioritize which sites they needed to go out to prevent a spill from occurring that night from that unfortunate situation. I don't think that's happening a lot, but again, I know with the fires, the rains, the floodings, and everything like that, having this as a backup in case power goes out, it could be a good backup to the backup. Another application we can provide is flow estimation. It's the same hardware that we use for the level monitoring. It's basically kind of a quote-unquote software upgrade on our end. We use Manning's equation for flow estimation. If you're familiar with Manning's equation, we just use the level data, the pipe, the diameter, the slope, the material, plug it into an equation, and you get flow estimation. We like to use the term, garbage in, garbage out. If you know that information that's going into the equation is pretty accurate, you're going to get pretty accurate flow estimation. For billing purposes, I would say don't use us specifically for that. But if you're using it for wet weather versus dry weather events, capacity studies, if they're, your city or agency is doing, if they're building, more condos or apartments or anything like that, they're adding capacity to it. General flow studies, bypass projects, that's where we can come in handy for projects like that. So just another application that can be utilized. No additional hardware, no additional software required. It's just a little upgrade on our end to be able to do this feature. Another one, which is hitting close to home today, is inflow and infiltration detection. I've been with SmartCover for 6 years, and I think the first 3 years I was with them, I don't think I brought up inflow and infiltration detection once with any of my agencies in SoCal. But over the past couple of years, we've gotten a lot more rains, and I think agencies are noticing that, hey, because it's raining more, we are noticing we're getting a lot more I&I in our system. We do have another tool. We call it our Smart Rain. It's our non-hardware rain gauge tool that allows you to overlay the rain data with your level data to let you know if there's any I&I in your system. Basically, what we do is we add a little raindrop icon to your SmartCover homepage, and we're capturing all the rain events within a 0.62 mile radius wherever that raindrop is installed. We use multiple sources, NOAA, NOAA being the main one. They already have the rain gauges out there. We're just taking that data and adding it to the SmartCover website. It's not 100% perfect, but it can be a great useful tool, inexpensive tool to see what's going on in your system. And here's a great example of that on the screen right here. The blue line is the level data that's being collected at the site, and then the red line is the rain that was captured with one of our Smart Rains. And as you can see, as the rain spikes up, the level data is spiking up pretty instantaneously at the same time, leading us to believe there's probably some inflow at the site. What's great about this example as well is on the right-hand side, you can see after the rain stops, the level data aren't still back down to its normal diurnal pattern where it used to be before the rain started. And those are days going by, and there's a slow, gradual decrease. So that's leading us to believe that there might be some infiltration, some groundwater getting in there. So again, just another inexpensive tool that can be utilized with the level data to help you guys understand what's going on, get a better understanding of your system about what's going on. We also, not only can you do that manually, but we have automated this as well. What you can do is go generate an I&I report. You just click a button, select the time frame, typically during a rain event, and what our systems will do, it'll automatically go through all your SmartCovers, your Smart Rains, and it will go detect where there's any potential I&I, and will rank it based on impact. So if you do have multiple SmartCovers, you don't want to take the time to manually go through each one, we automated that process. So the higher the percentage, the greater the potential I&I, and those are typically the areas that you may need to focus on if you need to do any improvements or fixes or anything like that. One great example, again, agency in San Diego County. They let us know one day during a rain event, actually recently, this past year, their treatment plant called their collections team and said, hey, we're seeing a huge spike, in extra water coming into our system. Are you guys seeing anything on your end? So they went to their SmartCover website, created a quick report and found out that, hey, yeah, we are seeing a lot of extra inflow at the site where we have SmartCover being monitored. You can see the rain spiking up with the level data, letting them know that, hey, this is the area that they're seeing issues with. So they went on site to the SmartCover, they popped the lid, they didn't see anything at this site. So they went a few manholes upstream, and they actually found that there's a elevated manhole in a field near some residences and some businesses that's prone to flooding. And some business owner or resident decided to drill holes in the side of the elevated manhole to try to avert the flooding issues. Not only did that not work, the area is still flooded. It actually just caused more problems for the collections and the treatment plant. I don't know if that video will play if I hit next, but you can see the picture on the right. It is a video. I'll see if it plays next, but you can see that's all the rainwater getting into those drill holes that were sent in. And so they patched the holes, and they had a rain event the next week, and they were able to really stop that extra rainwater getting into the system by utilizing the data they had with their smart cover systems. Oh, there it goes. So don't do that, obviously. We do work with stormwater as well, not just wastewater. The city of Encinitas is a great example of that. They have a storm drain in a park near expensive homes and businesses in the area, and that area was prone to flooding. And when it did flood, it would flood the homes, and obviously the city of Encinitas would have to pay for the damages. And so they needed a way to find out, hey, when is it about to flood? When is the rain coming? How high is this storm drain getting? And when do we need to turn the pumps on? And so they added a smart cover at this site so they can get the alarms so to know when to turn on the pumps so they can help avert any flooding so they don't have to spend money for any potential damages. We actually install it right there on the grate. You can see that green antenna that's installed. On the picture on the right-hand side, you can see our sensor hanging in there, just monitoring that storm drain, letting them know when they need to turn the pumps on. And here's a good example of that. Typically they're not supposed to have any water in here, but during rain events, you can see when the data spiked up, you can see where their high-level alarms are set and when they're able to be alerted when they need to turn on the pumps to avert any flooding issues. So, we work with the wastewater side, stormwater sides. We've even done work with clean water tanks, potable water tanks as well. Another application I'd like to quickly talk about is cleaning optimization. I know a lot of agencies typically have, monthly, quarterly, biannual cleaning sites. They clean these sites monthly, quarterly, just because they've had issues in the past, whether it was a spill, it's an environmentally sensitive area, or, they just, if they had a spill at this site, it'd be really bad. So they clean it every month, every quarter, just because, to avoid a spill. This takes a lot of equipment, a lot of personnel, a lot of time, a lot of cost, and you're just kind of repeating that cycle. The idea is to utilize the smart cover technology because you have that data to get a better understanding of what's going on because you may be cleaning a clean pipe. So it's just adding this additional tool to help you better optimize the cleaning cycle. We do have Smart Trend with all of our smart covers as well, and that's our patented automatic trending analysis tool. And this kind of goes hand in hand with the cleaning optimization. Basically what our smart covers do is that they memorize a 9-day pattern of the flow going through each site. And if there's a trend rise or trend fall outside that pattern it memorizes, we're going to alert you. It may not be a high-level alarm situation, but we're just letting you know, hey, there's something different going on. You might want to keep an eye on it. It's especially helpful if there's a root buildup or a grease buildup or root buildup. Those are typically a lot more gradual, as you can see in this example right here. And it helps create a plan versus a reactive response to certain situations. And to dive a little bit deeper into that situation, that example, this agency down in San Diego, you can see, back in December 2019, they've got their first trend notification when the water levels rose very slightly. They got alerted. They decided not to go out there. A few weeks later on, the water levels started to rise again. They got their second trend notification, letting them know, hey, there's something else going on at this site. It's continuing to rise. And then finally, it did hit one of their high-level alarms, and that's when they decided to clean and prevent a spill. But as you can see, we alerted them almost a month in advance of something potentially going on in their system, so they were able to prioritize, hey, they might have been going out there a month later anyway, so let's not roll an additional truck and potentially save some costs and time there. A couple examples of this is Santa Margarita Water District. They had a 3-month pilot at 2 of their monthly cleaning sites. So these 2 sites they cleaned out, they went and cleaned every single month. They had put a smart cover at each one of those sites, and they went 9 months without cleaning. That's one of the graphs of the data that's being collected. You can see that there's really no trend rise or trend fall. It's pretty consistent data. So they learned that they were cleaning a clean pipe. If there was a blockage, they would still get that notification of the high-level alarm, but they went 9 months without having to clean, and the only reason they cleaned is because they're cleaning upstream and they wanted to keep pushing everything through. But within that 9 months, at those 2 sites they clean monthly, they saved about $7,500 cleaning costs, 43,000 gallons not having a jet. I know, especially with the drought that California had, I don't think we're still in a drought, just not a severe one anymore because of the rains. But anywhere we can help save water, that's always great. And then they did save 72 man hours. This is a new way of thinking. I think Santa Margarita still went out there, every month, and maybe I think just peek through one of the pick holes just to make sure, do a visual check instead of rolling a truck, just so they can be, secure and confident with the data that was being collected at these 2 sites. And then South Coast Water District, they did it 6 sites at a quarterly cleaning cycles. So they did a 6-month pilot, and so at these 6 quarterly cleaning sites, they would typically have to clean 12 times. They found out they didn't have to clean once. They do have a phase 2 ongoing for their cleaning optimization program, but within those first 6 months, not having to clean at those sites, they understood that it cost them about $3.82 a linear foot to clean, so they save about $5,000 in cleaning costs not having to clean at those 6 sites. However, those sites that they cleaned every quarter were on Pacific Coast Highway, pretty busy street. And so they actually found out they actually saved a lot more not having to set up traffic control at those sites. They actually saved about $10K not having to do that setup each quarter, just within those first 6 months. So they save about $15K in the first 6 months, but they learned not having to set up traffic control as often is definitely a lot safer for the crew as well. And then finally, the last application I want to talk about with our systems is H2S monitoring. We do have a new H2S sensor. It's a 0 to 1,000 parts per million sensor. It utilizes the same hardware, the same platform, the same satellite communications. The only difference is the sensor hanging down, and instead of doing level or flow estimation, we are doing H2S monitoring. It's lasting 3 months in the manhole without needing maintenance or calibration. We simply send you a already calibrated sensor every 3 months. Simply swap out the sensor every 3 months, and that's it. You can overlay the H2S data with level data, flow data, rain data to see what's going on to help understand, if you guys are using chemicals to dose, which chemical's working, how much we need to dose, are we dosing too much, are we not dosing enough? Especially during rain events, if you do get I&I, there's typically that flush that kind of clears everything away automatically. I know you typically don't want I&I, but that could be helpful for H2S issues. And you guys can set high-level alarm thresholds as well, letting you know if your H2S level is getting too high, to know when to maybe, if you guys ran out of chemical feed, if the chemical feed stopped working, or if there's an issue going on, having that real-time data can help you make decisions a lot quicker. And agency, Orange County Sanitation District, is utilizing our smart covers for cleaning optimization, SSO prevention, and H2S monitoring. This is an example of one of their H2S monitoring sites that they're utilizing the data to capture. Having that real-time data is helping them save maintenance time, maintenance costs. OC San, if you're aware, is a very big agency, and they do spend a lot of money on their chemicals. So this is helping them determine how much they actually need to be using to hopefully save some costs on those as well. And at the very beginning, I talked about, I was going to talk about SmartCover, our solutions, and how we can integrate into GIS, SCADA platforms, and complement, those platforms as well. So we can do API integration into other systems. We simply can provide agencies with an API key, which then, their team can take that and integrate their level data, their H2S data, their rain data into their systems that they're using. And one great example of that is with Nobel. I think this is a great example of one, Rainbow Municipal Water District. You can actually pull up their platform. They integrated their SmartCover data into their Nobel system to where they're able to quickly log in and see what's going on. This helps them, log into one platform instead of having to log in 2. If they log into this, their system and find out, hey, you know what, we see a SmartCover and that has a high-level alarm, they can go into our system, our platform after that if they need to do a deeper dive. But this just shows you how we can integrate all of our data, all of our solutions into, other platforms that agencies are typically using. This is a great example showing you exactly where the smart cover is located throughout Rainbow. You can see the data. And I know it was mentioned earlier that we did do this integration in Uzbekistan as well. And so this is a great tool that can be utilized, especially if you do have multiple platforms that you're using to be able to integrate into one platform. And then kind of just to recap some notable benefits of our solutions: no confined space entry for installation, the satellite communications not being cellular based, having that data, real-time data, help make analytics, turnkey decisions, providing alarm notifications, having that mobile app feature, being able to do integration into other platforms as well, tilt alarms, and then help maximize the coverage of your system, get a better understanding of what's going on. Hopefully that was quick enough, long enough. It's been a while since I've presented, so thank you again for having me so much present here. Anybody have any questions?
All right, great. All right. Thank you, Eric.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Michael. So we're going to break for lunch. Lunch is being served outside there. You can always bring your food back in and sit down. One note that I'd like to mention: later on, after the event, we have a social hour, and we do have a raffle. So we do have giveaways later on, so stick around for that. And if you have any questions, talk to the partners, talk to the Nobel staff. We're all here to answer your questions and help you any way that we can. All right, so we can break for lunch, and then we'll kind of reconvene at 1 o'clock.